Live?
All you.
Okay. Welcome to the Oconee Rivers Greenway Commission meeting, February 16th, 4 o'clock, actually 4:02. And I'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. And I'll ask Alex if there are any public comments.
I have not received any.
Okay. Next agenda item is minutes. Diane has sent out the minutes as usual, did an incredible job on those. So are there any questions, comments on the minutes? Motion to approve. I see a hand go up from Alex. Do I hear a second? Second. Yeah. And Mac thirds. So we have motion to approve the minutes with a second. Do I hear any discussion? All in favor signify with aye.
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 Minutes are approved unanimously. Okay, I have a few items which may overlap with some of the others as we go through the meeting, but I did send a thank you letter to Dr. Bledsoe. Shanna helped me do that. I thought his presentation was very useful, and I know as a faculty member, I was always glad to get a letter when I gave a talk. It's nice to put in your annual report, annual review. So we did a walk at Carr Creek, and Karen, you may want to comment on this too. I think you helped set it up with Alex. But I have to tell you, I was really impressed. I had never been there, and that was it was a great trip. Looks like the planning for the trail is going along really well, and I don't know if there are any other comments on the trip.
It was all
Karen?
Alex.
It was
All
all
Alex.
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done over there. And we look forward to seeing that come along. I gave a talk at Ollie last week, and they hit me up again. They really want a strong relationship with this group. And I'm thinking about some kind of I don't know if we need a formal relationship or not, but all of us have things that we could talk about. Any comment on that? Any suggestions? I know that Nat has led trips. Karen, I think you've led trips for Ollie. Others may have. They are saying that this fall, knock on wood, they're going to reinstitute their field trips. So they have a big demand for us to participate. So if you have any suggestions or comments, I would appreciate them. I'll be glad to lead a trip. Mac, maybe you and I could lead a trip out at Rock and Shoals. And others may have some ideas.
Ross, I've done several on the Greenway itself with the Ollie hikers, happy hikers. And I'm also doing a presentation on March the 25th, Ollie, on the garden tour. So
oh, great.
We have a good relationship there. I also do one for Caterpillar. You know, this year we haven't been able to do it, but generally we do.
Yeah. Karen, are you doing one at Tallahassee?
When's our deadline? I was going to do one in the fall.
It's a couple months down the road. They hit me up. As you know, I'm on the curriculum committee, so they expect me to deliver. So
in the past, I've done a talk on the Greenway with Mary Cook, who's done one on Firefly. So we sort of split it, but you know, the Greenway deserves its own full talk, and I don't have any ship of it.
Yeah. Well,
I
don't
think
mind
that
doing a
both,
talk.
I think that both Nat and I will give a talk and then offer field trips.
Well, we can do that. I wouldn't mind participating in that. We can talk in greater detail about it, but I wanted people to think about it. It's a good audience, and it's a good community service to provide those trips for Ollie. So, and Alex, we know how to coordinate that now, so we'll coordinate
Yeah,
and get that done.
even I'll just caveat that, and I appreciate that acknowledgement there. Even on an open facility like the Greenway Firefly, have that conversation early with us when you're planning on doing it, just so that we can be aware of the group walk, get it on our calendar, make sure that we're not planning some maintenance activity, or if something comes up, we can let you know about it. And that all sounds awesome. The one thing I don't know, the earwig I'll throw at you is, Ollie is a good group. It's good engaged people. But there may want to be a movement for it to be free and fair across more than just this one group. So that's the only thing I would say.
No, I understand that. We could do other trips for other groups if they want. It's just that they've made that request. So if people want to lead a trip or have some suggestions, just send a note to me and I'll help coordinate it with their curriculum committee.
Yeah, for natural resources report, I was going to kind of review what Alex said about insurance. If an Ollie member or if a Greenway commissioner leads a trip, we're insured by the county, but the people on the trip are not, unless they're other county people. And if it's a program from the county, then that's a whole other matter. The county covers those individuals. I mean, we learned a lot at the natural resources meeting about, who covers what's insured, but Ollie is going to have to insure its own people. And that's something you should see if they're ready to do it.
I think
And I would
field trips they are.
And I wouldn't say, I would say is liable for, not. It's more about who's liable, less about who has insured.
That Ross can talk to you more about that because he's on curriculum.
Yeah, I will clarify that for us.
When
The other thing,
they hike, there's a waiver they have to sign.
Yeah.
Ollie has a waiver that every individual has to sign. It has to be either on file or they have to sign it that day. So that takes care of that liability issue.
Does it?
yeah, I think so. For all, you're always liable, no matter if you do have a form signed. But I think that's the mechanism that they use because they do a lot of trips, and I've done that before, and you have to put forth all the warnings about whether it's easy or hard, and, what to wear and bring water, all that stuff. So, but
And yeah, that's between Ollie, the agency, and the individuals. For us, it's we have to establish per trip the relationship between ACCGOZ and the agency that's bringing the people here. Again, you as a Greenway commissioner are acting on behalf of ACCGOV when you give one of these tours, but there's again that's why that permit, you guys request that permit, and we're going to ask a whole bunch of questions. We're going to make sure that we've got the trip plan, the safety plan, coordinate all those things, because we got to stay on the up and up, and we got to make sure we know what's happening at all the parcels and properties, and that they're organized groups coming out, because again, there is a level of insurance, but again, it's all about who's liable should something go wrong.
Mhm.
And we can talk more about that if you want to, when Karen, when you talk about your stuff. Okay.
Okay. Any more on that topic? Okay, ex officio members. Alex, do you have that with the result of our discussion at the executive committee on ex officio membership?
All right. Do you want to give the intro on this?
Yeah, we had it. There was a need to edit and to update since the ex officio list was old, and we have up to 10 ex officio memberships, and so we had a fairly lengthy discussion about what those are, what current, and whether there is an additional one or not at this time. So Alex, if you'll show the list and go ahead.
Yeah.
And
so the y'all's ex officios are listed in ordinance, Athens-Clarke County ordinance, and that's referenced up here at the top. It's 111.1. This is the ordinance that establishes ORGC, speaks to the members, and then it speaks to the ex officios. And this is in the format that the mayor and commission would want to see this, where it's not track changes, but it is strike through in gray is the additions. This department hasn't existed since I think like 94, 5, or 6. So these first couple are really just to update the current terminology that we have. So you can see Leisure Services Liaison is your formal liaison. Right now, the designee is me, or your Nature Division Administrator. We also have our Sustainability Office, Parks and Rec, and Environmental Education departments are no longer here. Planning Department has a liaison. Public Utility Department technically has a liaison. This is a whole new addition reflected here, but when this position was created, the Bike Ped Coordinator, Hillary, was the original one. We have our brand new one with us, former park planner, or in a gray area between the two roles, Daniel Sizemore. So that's one. Bike Athens, Rail to Trail. Right now it's Firefly Inc., but there could be other Rail to Trail down the line, and so keeping this generic to quote Rail to Trail ex officio was suggested by the executive committee and added to this list. We've also got you own Oconee Rivers Audubon Society, and updating it, they've changed their name, but it's the same agency, North Georgia Regional Commission. And then these were some of the original ex officios that, when this was originally written, it was the Greenway that, the Cook's Trail Greenway was already established, but we were, the original Greenway, OG Greenway as we call it, getting from the Nature Center to downtown would have involved these downtown partners a lot more, but now we've kind of moved on. And the University of Georgia ex officio has been struck with still reflecting 5 UGA appointees as voting members of the Greenway Commission. So that is the ex officio. I didn't know, do you want to have any conversation about the ex officio portion before looking at the other edits at the end, Ross?
well, let's do that. It was my understanding that we need to vote on this, right? Vote on the ex officio.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, we need to vote on all the updates. So I'll just go ahead and scroll because we can come back to it.
Okay.
The only other, you guys are voting on these amendments to the ordinance change, and then I'll take these and push them to mayor and commission by way of the manager's office. Originally, this portion, responsible general, Oconee Rivers Greenway Commission shall be responsible for developing the plan for river-oriented greenway system and related trails. We just added that to clarify that the Greenway system and the trails are two separate entities. We, down here, Authority General, seek federal, private funding, donations, and preservation enhancement of the Greenway system, and to further the purposes of such commission, conduct, and this is unedited, conduct educational programs about, instead of on, the Greenway, implying place. It may have implied place, so now we're talking about the thing about it, and its resources, in coordination with Leisure Services, just because we have programs on there. That is one that we haven't gotten to talk about yet. And then down here, updating, again, former department to now the current department, Leisure Services Department. So, all that said, is there, I'll leave it with you guys if you want me to make any changes. Ross, it's your ball.
Yeah, just open it for discussion or a motion to approve.
I have one suggested change. When I read Greenway system and related trails, it occurred to me that something like the Firefly could be considered a related trail. So I'm wondering if we should say and Greenway trails instead, because we're not responsible for planning any non-Greenway trails.
It seems reasonable to me. It doesn't change the meaning. I mean, it clarifies the meaning. We're pretty much focused on Greenway Trail.
Yeah, you're just clarifying the wording a little more.
So, and related Greenway trails, is that what we're?
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Greenway technically includes the tributaries of the Greenway, which might lead someone to think like, okay, the Trail Creek Greenway, which is also called the Greenway, is under the authority of under the advisement of the Greenway Commission, which isn't really the case. That was completely independent of any. So, and there might be other examples like that. So, I just we don't want to assume the responsibility for developing a plan for all trails in Athens that connects to the Greenway.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's exactly right. I think that you're right. Like we talked with the network plan this year, honing in on you guys are the green lines within right next to the blue lines, not all the other ones.
Yeah, and there are connectors that are important, but sorry.
I was just gonna mention that it's it was originally called the Trail Creek Greenway, but it is now the Trail Creek Trail. But that is within the Greenway network.
Yeah, it was on the Greenway master plan, but so I wouldn't disassociate it.
It was also dedicated under the Greenway. When we did the dedication, it was dedicated under the Greenway.
Yeah, so the Trail Creek Trail is a good example of one of those that is a tributary, which is within y'all's purview. However, but like the mall loop, one of those urban trails, you guys remember the urban trails?
Mm-hmm.
Those are on the Greenway network plan, but we're not necessarily going to be including those down the road because they can move to a different countywide master plan.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really helpful distinction because the after the 2016 plan was adopted, I think there was a lot of public and Greenway Commission confusion over which portion should be prioritized by the Greenway versus the other, potential TSPLOS funding sources because that clarity just wasn't there. I think the creation of Athens in Motion as a citizen committee focused on bike and pedestrian infrastructure elsewhere has really sort of helped us tease apart, where our responsibilities lie versus other organizations.
Yeah, another example would be the Cherokee Road multi-use path or the Jefferson River Road multi-use path, which it could be called the trail and might eventually link up to the Greenway. So thinking about the future as well and how to divide the responsibilities between that and Athens in Motion and other groups, I think is useful.
So we good with
Yes.
related Greenway trails, Jake?
Just a comment on this. I always felt our primary, and it says further in this paragraph C, if I read, the primary purpose shall be the protection of natural resources.
Right.
And I always felt that. And so in the sentence above, I'm thinking it ought to say the plan for a river-oriented Greenway trail system, so that, and because this is a secondary priority of ours, the trail system. Our primary is protection of the whole Greenway. That was my understanding. So I would say shall be responsible for developing the plan for a river-oriented Greenway trail system.
Yeah, that's a good point. And we could actually reverse those two sentences so that the whole thing read
Yes.
With
the primary purpose of the Oconee Rivers Greenway.
Yeah.
Commission shall be the protection of the natural resources of the North Oconee Middle Rivers. They're major. It doesn't make sense to have the primary purpose after something else.
That's a very good point.
They're major tributaries in their floodplains for the benefit of enjoyments. And then the next sentence would be the commission shall also be responsible for developing the plan for a river-oriented Greenway trail system within Athens-Clarke County.
I think that's got it. Yeah.
Is that too much verbal editing?
Oh, we got it.
I like it.
I got no problems with it. I'll have to figure out if I need to highlight that as a change, just because it's the same words, just flip-flopped.
Yeah.
So you guys are driving with that?
Yeah,
Looks
yeah,
good
that's
to
just
me.
clarification. And it's enhancement.
Okay.
I'm good.
Anything else?
I'll have to flip the subject verb agreement stuff, but I can do that.
Sounds good.
I haven't pulled up the bylaws, but will we have to change that in the bylaws if it's not already in that order?
That is that would not hold up this process, because again, that's you guys editing your document. That has to only be approved by your group, not this one has to go higher.
It's in the bylaws, Karen, but I don't think the order there really is as important as the order here, because it says the same meaning. I was just looking at them. Yeah. All right.
When you flip those two sentences, there's an issue there. It's said because it starts out the primary purpose of this system, and we haven't defined what the system is. So is that still?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll clear up the what it's referring to.
All right.
Was there any discussion about the ex officios at all?
Actually, I got a question on that.
Yeah.
Add the Oconee River. We've always left out, in other words, it's North Oconee, Middle Oconee, and Coney rivers, because the Oconee River is still in the county.
Yeah.
Where are you speaking to?
Back to the sentence you just flipped. We've always said the North Oconee, the Middle Oconee, and the Oconee rivers. So we've got 3 rivers,
Right.
not just 2.
That's a good point. Somebody else had a comment as he's changing that.
That might be in a number of places here. It's in the last section too.
Okay.
Or the one before that one, rather. And I just want to make sure that that's the intent of this. So we're not, I mean, we've always thought of it that way, but that's a change.
I would think that that would be the intent. Your
Yeah.
Greenway network plans have had trail
Yeah.
on the unified Oconee River, so
Okay.
going all the way back.
Okay.
So the question that I need some clarification on, I think we started off saying we were allowed to have 10 ex officio members. And the next question that I never heard the answer to is, do we have any unused ex officio positions? Or do we have 10 now, so there's no room for another?
There's 10.
So we have 10 already, right?
Correct.
I
You
think
guys have had 10.
at the
You guys
last,
have 10 and have had 10.
well, at the last meeting that I attended, someone reported that we had a request from that mountain biking group to be added. And it sounds like we don't have a position to add them to.
No, there's 10 already.
Somebody needs to communicate back to that group that their request can't be accepted because we don't have any more open spaces.
I would suggest that we communicate to them that they can show up every month as a guest and be welcome.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
I'm curious, why was the Chamber of Commerce removed? I understand there's other ones being removed, but what about the Chamber of Commerce?
So in executive session, I know the conversation mainly was around, I started this editing process for you guys, capturing the people who really were coming to the meetings. You guys can, I mean, the executive committee can speak for themselves, but
yeah, the Chamber of Commerce has. I've been on the commission for 4 years, and there's never been a representative. So it's kind of a legacy of when this. I don't even know when the last time they came was. The main change here, the only change actually, is we removed Athens Downtown Development Authority and replaced it with Oconee Rivers Audubon Society. And I think there were a couple reasons for that. One is that ADDA wasn't really coming to our meetings, and it's another sort of artifact of the original Greenway being so closely associated with downtown, which has shifted over time, and then also trying to balance the different areas of impact of the Greenway system so that we have more preservation and wildlife focused groups, and they're interested in joining. So that was sort of the rationale there, I think. Maybe Karen wants to say more.
No, it's just, it's a level of expertise that I certainly don't have and other folks on the commission don't have. They can answer directly to river-oriented and other questions. So I think their expertise is valuable.
Those three agencies,
I'm sorry.
agencies typically represent businesses and specifically downtown businesses, and as opposed to representing resources of natural type resources, which is one of the reasons for moving away from that. And they're certainly welcome to come and sit any time and voice any opinions.
The other thing was that Oconee River Audubon system contributes to the primary purpose that discussed.
Right.
And I was just going to say, the main difference, as we talked about this, between an ex officio and a guest is really that we put ex officios on the agenda so that there's a report or nothing to report every month, and that offers more opportunities for discussion of shared interests a guest could easily, have the same sort of conversation in our monthly meeting. So to me, that was really it's really a fairly, I mean, it's an important distinction, but it's really the only one.
Further discussion? Call for.
You need a motion to approve the changes to the ordinance.
Motion made by Tracy to approve the changes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, Jake, right? Motion made to approve and seconded. Any further questions? All in favor signify with aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you.
Done.
Lynn, are you here? There you are.
I'm right here.
Yeah. I did receive a check today, Lynn. I'm going to deposit it in the bank tomorrow.
Good to know. I have seen your email.
Do you have anything else?
No, we have no changes to the budget at this point. Derek Little, the previous treasurer, passed along all of his documents. I'll be preparing the supporting documents for the next committee meeting. Just trying to sift through everything that I've received, but nothing new to report.
Okay. Committee reports. Jake.
We had a sparse meeting. We had 3 people last time, so we cut it pretty short. The main thing was, and it looks like I missed the last monthly meeting, but we reported on the MLK Day. It was pretty successful. 22 people signed up. I think 18 people showed up, which is a pretty good ratio. And we hit the part of Trail Creek that goes through Dudley Park again. So it was actually a retreatment of what we did before. And it was pretty instructive to see how you get at all the privet and then the other invasives move in. So the retreatment was not as satisfying, in terms of getting people excited about removing invasives. Being able to see that before and after of just clearing a horrible thicket of privet is a more effective engagement strategy. But this was also really important. So that was good. We almost had 2 activities last Saturday, a week ago Saturday, which would have been through Leisure Services doing an ivy removal and possibly some tree planting in North Oconee River Park. And then through sustainability, we were going to do another invasive removal along MLK. But that day it happened to be 38 and pouring rain. So we, I think, wisely canceled that. So we'll return to that in March. So that's really the only thing to report for communications at this time, and we'll meet again the last Wednesday of this month, whenever day that is.
I have to say that if you participate in removal, don't be embarrassed like I was. As a plant ecologist, I was snipping poison ivy and I got in trouble for it.
Oh, yeah, that's native.
Yeah, it's native and it is a wildlife food, but man, am I allergic to it. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Okay, planning. Susie?
Okay, as Ross indicated, we had a wonderful time walking the Carriage Lane Cartwright property, which is now called Carrs Creek Connector section of the Greenway. It looks really good. It's been surveyed to move the actual Greenway path over off of the sewer. And so that's going to help out a good bit, I think, and give us a nice wide trail to walk and it's visually very beautiful. And the idea of the bike trail alongside of it, it's going to allow for some bike trails there, which are, the mountain bikers have already made trails. And so it's going to allow that to kind of coexist, as it were, but not entirely. I think it's going to be a really nice section. And like I say, it is, there is space there for parking and for restrooms. And Alex seems to think he can find a little money for that sort of thing. So we're hoping, if not, if not, we'll have to dig in our pockets.
Alex said it would be a good opportunity to ask for a grant. What Alex said.
Well, you know, we're going to take you at
We have faith in you, Alex.
Absolutely. If not, we'll pitch in and we'll find some money. We'll dig in some pockets. The master plan was presented to mayor and commission. They did add a few things. Actually, they didn't take anything out, but they did add some things in conjunction with North Avenue, the North Avenue Trail, in hopes that the grant to rework the North Avenue sector will come to pass, and that bridge will come to pass, and we can take advantage of that. Anyway, the restroom.
Can I clarify that as well?
Yeah.
So when reviewing this with the manager's office, there was a discussion over, is there anything else that should be shown for connectivity's sake? That's when we added the build grant that TPW has put in for, I think, a second or third time. Dana may be able to help, but that's the trail bridge reworking North Avenue going up. So when it was presented to mayor and commission, it already had that on there.
Okay. Sorry, I jumped the gun there. Okay, the restroom at Sandy Creek Nature Center is the RFQ is in a process of being worded. Am I correct? And as soon as that wording is there, that will go over to the Nature Center board for them to put it out for that renovation to take place. But if you haven't seen the playscape out there, you really ought to take a peek. It is really coming along beautifully, and the artist work there is incredible. We did meet also to talk a bit about the Brickworks, and the Brickworks is a very interesting historic area in the Sandy Creek Nature Center property, and the thought there is to look at developing it as a historical cultural node adjacent to the Greenway, because it's just a quick step or two off the Greenway. And I suggest that perhaps we have a number of cultural and historic nodes along the Greenway, and as we develop them, perhaps it might be sort of a side area when we've got some interpretive signage on things like railroads and the culture of the community, and how these historic areas of Athens, the cannon emplacement, the Lick Skillet Hill, all these might be worked into a part of the Greenway information as a historic kind of focus for people who are really into that kind of thing. Perhaps on a website, or perhaps on a download that people could come and, enjoy that kind of thing.
Susie?
Yeah?
I drove out to the Nature Center today to look at the new restroom that's being developed, and I can't find it. Where is it?
If you go around the back of the building, on the southeast corner of the building is an outdoor bathroom that has outdoor access, even when the Nature Center's closed. And it's the only one that's adjacent to the Greenway at this point in time.
So if I'm at the Allen House
Uh-huh.
and I can't drive my car down the Greenway because there's a gate there. Is it beyond that gate? Is that where it
Yes.
is?
Yes. You go down beyond the gate, you will find a little access road to your right. And if you follow that up, it's right there on the corner. Yeah, Alex.
Alex.
It's a facelift to a restroom that's been on the back of the formerly known as NSAT building since it was built. There's no new built restroom. There's no outbuilding restroom. There's no Portland loo. There's no nothing like that. It is a redesign of the existing restroom that's been there since I was a kid going to the nature center.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is.
Right. Now, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. That wasn't part of the original inset building. That was carved out later.
That bathroom's been on the back of that building for a while.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think it was original. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well,
It's way old.
Susie?
The one.
Mike.
The one concern.
Mike.
Yeah, sorry, Alex, just to answer the question on the bathroom, it was originally slated to be a Clivus Multrum, and we realized after we got it in there that wasn't going to work given the level of use and construction of the bathroom. And so we had to convert it to a toilet about a year later. So it's yes and no.
No wrong there.
Here's my comment based on my experience today.
Mm-hmm.
There is a little arrow sign that says restrooms that doesn't take you to that restroom. We need to improve our signage so that people can find the bathroom if they need it.
Right.
Where was that? Where was that arrow?
On one of the signs that says nature center, restrooms, it's as you drive into the nature center, there's a whole.
Yeah, Alex said it actually points to the visitor center bathrooms, the indoor bathrooms.
Right.
It's not marked to go around the building and find the outdoor one. So.
Okay, well, I think signage improvement is very important.
Yes.
No, I will say that on Sundays and Mondays, there is an A-frame sign that does point people to that. So if you go when the nature center is closed, daytime, sunrise to sunset, there is a A-frame sign that is placed on the walkway where Charles Pinckney's medallions are in the ground that points you to the right to go around the building. There is a sign there that is
That's correct.
accurate.
But as Diane said, it's a secret restroom.
Yeah.
Only us folks know about it.
We have a comment by Mac.
Yes, I'd be interested. There have been issues with the septic system there, and I wonder if this restroom can take a lot of traffic and how obvious we want to make it that it's there. And then a follow-up to that is there have been plans to repave that part of the Greenway, and I've often wondered if when we do that, we ought to run a sewer line down it and hook up to the main system. So just food for thought.
Yeah, I will say, so the septic system was, Central Services took care of the brain, fixing the pump lift station. They recertified the drain line. So that's on Key-Door. This restroom has been open to the public, to Greenway users. I can vouch for 2010 because that's when I was an intern there, and I know it was there. So it's been open. It's going to be very little to do with Greenway use. Now, I agree. The usership will go up once the Nature Playscape opens in the back, but we're never going to not have a public restroom open to the public. It will always be open to the public when we say it's going to be open, which is sunrise to sunset. And that'll be accomplished with a automatic door lock that locks and unlocks. We're using them at Satterfield, we're using them at Holland. So if there's still septic issues down the road, that's our job to accommodate the public to use their facility.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
let's see.
Susie,
Okay, the Oconee Hill Cemetery project is in the hands of design and development right now, and the company that's doing it is Astra. And they've worked with us before on a number of other projects, so we're real excited about having them available to work on this project. So hopefully we can see that move along pretty quickly. There is art on the Greenway that is getting to the final iterations of it. And so hopefully there will be a nice piece of artwork on the new section at MLK. And that's in sort of the final stages of being, well, decided upon which piece, what artist, and they've submitted, so that they're working through that. Okay, I think that's the benches. The one at Easley Mill is going to be on hold until we get the cemetery section finished. It wouldn't be feasible to put it in and have to take it out later. These are the benches that are in memory of our former commissioner. And the one that is in Ben Burton Park will go in as soon as we get some weather that's conducive to put in some concrete and get it done. But anyway, if you haven't been to Ben Burton, you ought to do it, because there's a beautiful pavilion and a bathroom. And the bathroom's really looking pretty spiffy. So I think that's all I have.
okay, thank you.
Any
Karen?
questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions? That's good.
Okay, that's me.
Yep. Jared?
We had a information-filled meeting, did a quick review of the charge of the committee, exceptional resource areas that are currently designated in the network plan, had some really good information on properties. One set are both county-owned with state protection, like Rock and Shoals Outcrop has a easement, a state easement, but also along the Cooks Corridor, there are state mitigation properties, which are county-owned, but managed under the auspices of a mitigation center, so they cannot be used for other things. Along the there's an outcrop near the Murmur Trestle. These were sort of things that I'd never thought of as properties that would then have a different kind of a management plan than what we think of as the Greenway itself. Nat gave a nice intro to the Beach Haven. We talked about what happens with endangered and rare species, and they're basically management has to conform to the state regulations. The kind of an interesting thing on, we're talking about mountain bikes, and we were talking about access. There's a lot of access to properties that are currently closed to the public. Alex reminded us that there's some under the auspices of leisure service, like at Whitehall and the Tillman track. They do get inspections once a month, but there are other areas that he called orphan parcels that they don't have the resources to inspect anything more than once a year, and those would be Barber Creek and 5 Acre Wood. So here's another category, and basically what's happening is they have different designations, and I think that Mike and Alec have on the back burner a formal table of property types and how they need to be managed, access, and it basically help an enormous amount to kind of simplify understanding. And also, Alex pointed out that Leisure Services has an ordinance for ordinances for how to manage certain properties, and currently, correct me if I'm wrong, sustainability doesn't have that ordinance. So it's something that is in the works to clarify that and formalize it. So I
let me
yes.
let me not let that slide by. The point made was, depending on what office within ACC Gov is managing a property, sustainability, leisure services, and orphan property, central services, there are different parts of ACC Gov ordinance that would apply. My example was a parcel that is not under leisure services control cannot have ordinance of leisure services enforced easily, if at all, speaking to the no camping. So again, just to clarify, that was what that conversation was about.
Thank you. So yeah, Mike, I hope can still make it to our next Natural Resources Committee meeting, which is the third Tuesday of it will be next Tuesday, fourth Tuesday. So it'll be next week. Was that the 23rd? Yeah, 23rd.
Yeah.
And so we'll hear more about Rock and Shoals. Got some really nice headlines in the Banner Herald. Thank you for working out that conservation easement, as well as all the work you do there. We'll hear more about that.
Yeah, I'll be there on the 23rd, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Okay, great. All right. Is that it, Karen?
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, staff reports. Alex?
All right, so some wind out of my sails has already gone with those committee reports, but so yes, construction happening in a lot of places simultaneously. So again, we're highlighting the cemetery will be being worked on. Impacts there may be to the Easley Mill Trail, so that's the one to watch out for. Possibly closing for extended periods of time. Just we'd rather close that end of the trail compared to the UGA side, the East Campus Connector side, because people are actively commuting on that every single day. We've also got the bridge over Trail Creek, the trestle project. A firm has been chosen for that. It happens to be the same firm, Astra as well. So they've got two different foremen working those two different sites. I'll remind everybody that they are the firm that put in the East Campus Connector bridge itself, and most of that trail coming from the Oconee Street down the hill and all the way up to North Oconee Access Road. A different firm is actually the one that did North Oconee Access Road up to Bailey and Carriage. So it's a firm we've got a good relationship with, and we're excited to work with them again. So those are happening. Dudley Park is having work within it. Soon they're actually clearing trees right now, so that's actually happening. The connection between the Firefly Trail and the Greenway Trail is something we're working on, some signage to actually connect those two to get people through, but we're working very closely with that contractor. It's the same contractor that built the Burton restroom and pavilion out there. You guys still with me?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I got a little warning on my side. So it's the same contractor that did the Burton work, and it's somebody we work with a lot. So we're very excited to see the Dudley work happening. They're out there with orange fence kind of showing that. I think I alluded to this last time. Make sure that if you go to check it out, you stay outside the fence because we want to protect you guys. So that's happening. We are unsure exactly when the Oconee underpass is going to hit. It's still on GDOT's radar, but it's one that funding, I think, has been shifted around a little bit. So that's one that's kind of, it's there, but it's not as prevalent. Or we thought we were like, oh, we're going to see it happen within the next like 24 months, but not 100% sure on that one right now. With all the construction stuff, I'm sure everybody here has heard, but the SPLOST tiers are all approved now. We finally have a plan of action for SPLOST. For us as staff, that's exciting because then we actually get to start talking about how soon we can start working on planning, how soon we're going to be asking for operations, all those. And if you haven't seen it yet, it's up, it's available. Some projects that concern, that you guys might be really interested in is Beach Haven. The planning process can start as early as FY22. The initial improvements and stabilization of the site may start as early as FY24, which would be, and our FYs are July 1 to June so that would be ending June 2024, starting July 2023. Is that what that's saying? And then the final Beach Haven money is all the way out at FY30, 31. Tallahassee Forest's money is at FY31. And then Water Trails is also kind of a sooner hitting one. And a lot of that is the grant match, which, by the way, we get to go to round 2 of the LWCF grant. I meant to not steal your thunder, Diane, but sorry. So that's happening. That's exciting. Other than that, I'm sure everybody's heard about the incident that happened on the open Greenway at this point. If you haven't, there was an assault that happened out on the Greenway, the OG Greenway between College and Sandy Creek Nature Center. We're very happy that the suspect was apprehended. We're very happy that the police department is investigating and figuring things out. So it was a day, we went down there not long after it reopened, and there were still plenty of people on the trail, plenty of people trying to get through the area. But, very happy that the police department is as active as they are and doing what they can do. And we're looking to formalize with PD, knowing how often they're going to be patrolling. They're going to be on there with their motorcycles. They have been on there with their motorcycles, but we're just not, we want to be a little more up on like how often they're hitting the trail and all that. Yeah, I see a hand. What's up?
Yeah. A thought came to me when I read that. Do we have cameras? I mean, they caught him immediately and that went very well. But do we have cameras that would help us with identifying anyone who was doing destruction or harassment or riding motorcycles up and down the Greenway, any of those kinds of things? Or do we, is it something that the Greenway Commission needs to take on?
To answer your question, the question being, do we have them? No, we do not have cameras. We have one park under 100%, well, not 100%, but we have one park where we keep cameras, surveillance type cameras, they're trail type cameras. I can tell you, Mike can tell you, it takes a lot of time to be checking all that kind of, we don't have the infrastructure to do that, nor do I think it's realistic to say that you would put an entire trail under surveillance. One interesting conversation we are having with the police department, and we'll see how it goes, is more of the access points. What can we do at access points to the trail, from the trail, parking lots, things like that. So but I don't think it's realistic to put cameras, you're walking on the trail and you're always under surveillance. I don't think that's
Alex?
where we're going.
I'm kind of thinking more of the dead spots, because there are a couple of dead spots where it's really out of the line of sight of roads or anyone close by. And I just wondered, and more for review than for active surveillance. In other words, if something happens, you want to go back to it.
This is an old suggestion from years ago, but I really want to raise it again. I think that the very best thing we could have is bicycle patrol on the Greenway. And I mean, the last time we asked about that, we were told, I think by the manager, that there was no money in the budget to afford that. But if you really want to have security on the Greenway, you'd have a cop riding a bicycle back and forth on the Greenway. I mean, it's that simple.
So I'll tell you where our conversations are. Motorcycles is the preferred method by our police department. It gets them around faster. It gets them around. If they have to then chase someone into a right of way, they're already in a much safer vehicle for them to operate. There also, once more trail comes online, and this is a conversation that we will be having, with more trail coming online, there is the interest to do like the Silver Comet has, where we know that there's always an officer at some point of the trail dedicated to trail. They would still be within the police department, but I just don't know if we have the area right now for them to contiguously, be on from one end to the other. But we are working on patrols by our uniformed police guys that ride the motorcycles. That's what we're doing right now, trying to figure out how often we can get them out and where they can go in order to cover all the spots, all the blind spots that you highlighted.
Okay. Are you finished, Alex?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'm Alex Bond.
I'm good.
I had a request from Bruno, if it's okay for, he has, I hope he's still here. Are you still here, Bruno?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, he had to leave at 5, so he hung on. Is it okay, Mike, if I stick him in there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
Bruno.
Thanks y'all so much. I really appreciate it. I'm still at work and I need to get out the door because I need to feed my dogs. But I wanted to give y'all a quick ex officio update on UOM. Everything's going great for us. We just voted in 6 new board members, so we are doing real well. Wanted to give you guys a special shout out because y'all helped with our MLK Day of Service, which was on Carrs Creek. So y'all mentioned that earlier today. I want to give a special acknowledgement to Lynn, who came and represented the the Greenway folks. And I am very curious as to what her take on it is. As I'm walking out the door, I won't be able to. But Lynn, if you're available, you're welcome to dial into our meeting tomorrow, or just send me some stuff about how it went for you. Because we want to know. I know that Deb told me y'all had 40 was a full load. I think you had about 30. And the people that come to MLK Day love it, and they're really excited and excitable. So I'm sure that y'all had a good experience. But we feel really strongly about what you guys are doing with the Greenway and Carrs Creek and how much help it needs. And so we're really happy that you guys were there. I unfortunately was in Oregon at the time, so I wasn't there, but Deb Dooley, who's my second on education committee, was there. And we will have a meeting tomorrow. We'll discuss how it went, and we will talk about how grateful we were to you guys, as well as to the Bag group from UGA, who was the other partner on this. The other thing is I am trying to find someone else to take over as liaison because of our 6 board members, we need somebody new to sort of get on board. So I want to thank all y'all, including the new folks and the old folks, for working with me all these years. It's been a pleasure. And if I'm there next month, then I haven't succeeded in my attempt to foist this on someone else. But rest assured that we love being ex officio and we love working with y'all. And so we look forward to continuing to do that. So if anybody has any questions or comments, go ahead now. And like I said, I'm trying not to take up too much time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bruno, I'll follow up with you by email. It was actually very, very good.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. The MLK Day of Service folks are amazing. They're really good.
Yeah. Good. Well, thank you for the shout out, Bruno, and appreciate it.
And you guys enjoy the rest of your meeting, and I will be in touch. And I will let y'all know how things go with the replacement liaison. And, shout out to Diane. Go team.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye. All right. Mike, your turn.
All right, and just kind of to dovetail on that discussion, the security questions, one that's been around for a long time. When the Parks Department started back in '81, we had a sheriff's department assigned to the organization that grew from 1 to 5 until 1996. So just a little bit of history about law enforcement and associated with the Clarke County Parks Department. The city had a different operating mechanism at that time. In '96, when we were unifying the 2 departments, they decided there was too much crime downtown versus the crime that was on the parks. I guess having 5 police officers was really making a difference. We had a mounted patrol at that time. They disbanded all of that, and that's how the bicycle patrol downtown actually got started. And then from then on, there's been a kind of a back and forth on how you secure your property when you have no, other than being Gomer Pyle chasing somebody down a trail, yelling citizens arrest, you really have no power to enforce anything. So that you're kind of stepping back into one of those really long-term questions that have been going on. So I feel your pain, and it is a complex question. So some fun stuff from sustainability. You heard that we were trying to partner up and do some plant removal with you guys. That was great. Too bad it did not quite work out, but hey, we're a spirited group. So thank you for helping us attack and remove invasive plants. If you have not had a chance to be in Dudley Park in the last 3 weeks, I think you're in for a shock. It is absolutely being transformed at this point. We have been working with the Athens-Clarke County ACOR, the Athens Core Group, and it's a group of young people who are getting some job-ready training that is sponsored by Athens-Clarke County. We have been providing, we developed the curriculum for them, we've been training them, and we've been working with them inside Dudley Park to remove invasive plants. And that's all part of the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Grant that Sustainability and Leisure Services and SPLOST partnered up on. And our portion's the land management end. So we've started working on that, and you will be quite amazed at how much is transformed in Dudley Park at this point. We've got about 2 to 3 more weeks there, and then we hand off the park to Leisure Services, and they'll start on some trails and boardwalk and building that. Then we may grab ACOR back for a little planting, and then they'll be off on some other projects at that point. I did want to let you know we've moved the trash trap from its location on the MLK site. We felt like it kind of lived out its usefulness there. We've moved it down to Trail Creek, just below the bridge. We partnered up with UGA to be able to move it to that site. So one of the anchors is on UGA property. One of the anchors is on Athens-Clarke County property. We're working through the materials recycling group at UGA for categorizing and working on the trash and studying the trash as it moves through the system, aquatic systems. So we're pretty excited. We expect to see a little bit more come out of the stream with that. As y'all know, Trail Creek is a pretty good source of trash getting into the stream. So keep your eye on that. If you haven't seen a trash trap in action, it basically it's a contraption that floats on top of the water, catches the floating material, the trash, the plastic, and things like that. You empty it out when it needs it. So we're going to find how many pounds we're able to remove over the next 5 months. Thank you. Yes.
This is Diane. How did it do with the higher water this week?
So far, it did not have any problems. It can take a lot of flood. So it just floats up and floats down. So unless a big old log comes down and hits it, that's the only thing you worry about, is where you get a big tree limb or a log that actually catches the trap itself. That's when you really would see something happen. I will be, as soon as I get a chance to get out of the office, I've been pretty busy with our clean and renewable energy action plan, but as soon as I get out of the office, I'll move the camera from where it is now to where it looks on the trash trap, and I'll be able to share photos from that as we go forward. I just haven't quite had a chance to move that yet. It's a great way to monitor it over time. Thank you for participating in the Clean and Renewable Energy Plan. We had 3 charrettes recently, and I understand that the Greenway Commission had a representative there who participated in that. We appreciated that. We will be opening the next phase when we get through here. Right now, we're interviewing power utility companies, businesses and industry, and our CAB members, our Community Advisory Committee members. Next month and the month after, we'll be moving into the public phase. So we would love to have you participate in that as well, as we look at these ways that we can accomplish and create a clean and renewable energy action plan. The plan, I will, just if you haven't followed what's going on, it's not just about fuel. It's also about looking at building envelopes. It's looking at greenscaping. So you're looking at a variety of options for reducing the use of energy, whether you talk about what it takes to produce it, right down to create our energy and our electricity, right down to fleet, and to building envelopes and greenscape. So what can we do with using trees to reduce and other greenscaping to reduce heat island effect? So expect, start looking for those, encourage people to go out. There'll be a community survey that comes out, so we'd love to see you take that community survey as well. So again, unless there's questions, that's it for me.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, we have a new position here. Where is he? Daniel, Transportation Bike Pedestrian Coordinator.
Hello. How's it going? Yeah, a lot of you guys know me, but I wanted to hop on and introduce myself as the new Bike and Pedestrian and Safety Coordinator for Transportation Public Works. I will be transitioning from leisure services, park planning to that new position over the next couple of months, but my official start date is next Monday. So obviously I have a lot of projects and irons in the fire that need to get worked out and resolved. But for the most part, I will be trying to come to these meetings, and if I do have any updates on any particular things that are relevant to the Greenway, then I will definitely bring that up in the future. So does anybody have any questions or anything?
Yeah. So you were on the Lexington Road activity. I know Mac was on a tour. Did you go on that hike? Is there any possibility of connecting trail there at that?
So which particular, like, are you talking about the Lexington corridor study as that is funded?
I'm talking about the housing development.
I don't, so I was not on that particular
okay.
one.
I'm sorry.
I've been to Max recently and
Yeah.
talked with him about it, but.
Yeah, Mac.
I can speak a little bit about the I've always thought it'd be nice to get from Carriage Lane, Car Creek, up to the Firefly Trail. And you have to, of course, you have to cross Barnett Shoals Road, which is going to be an issue. But if you can cross Barnett Shoals Road and then work your way through Deco property or some other properties there, and mine or someone else's, you can get to Lexington Road. And now, if this development goes through, there's going to be a traffic light right there, and we will be able to cross Lexington Road. And so it's a real opportunity. And from there, it is not far to the Firefly Trail. And so there's a real opportunity to make a loop, make some good connections here. And it's part of a TAD, tax allocation district. So when this goes in, this $80 to $100 million project goes in, there's going to be some TAD money available as well. So we ought to just keep it on the radar screen.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any, I guess, restriction on development or requirement by our commissioners to have green space or trails? In other words, can they be required to provide an easement at least, if not creating a section of the Greenway?
I think we're past that. I think, and of course, my understanding is the county can't require anyone to do anything. They can offer, if they're asking for, if they're not building by right, if they're asking for a variance, then there's some back and forth and offering that might sway the county. But the quick answers, I think it's already been approved as is, and that wasn't part of it. Now, I would think it would be to their advantage to do so because it's student housing, and I think the students would like to be connected with the Firefly Trail and to the Greenway. So I think retroactively we might be able to back our way into it.
Did you meet with any of the commissioners who were out there, and were you able to persuade them at least that they should consider putting a Greenway trail through through the property? I guess they didn't convey that to the.
No, I've talked with several commissioners about several options about getting a Greenway from Barnett Shoals to Lexington Road. But for everybody's benefit, we probably ought to discuss it when we have a map up.
Okay. All right.
Thanks. Just to give some extra clarity there, we did include that new alignment in the new Greenway network plan. So thanks, Alex.
I was already ready for it, man.
So you can see what we've got is down there at the end of Carriage Lane, there is a mid-block crossing that goes across Barnett Shoals. If I remember correctly, it is not a signalized crossing, so you do have, I believe you have to wait until there are no cars coming.
There is one today. Yeah, there's one today. Like right now, there's a push button.
Okay, it is a push button. Yeah, so right there is a push button where you can cross over Barnett Shoals. So from there, we went up along the street, but really getting from that point to what you're talking about, which, Alex, if you could show that little segment in the center, I believe that's the new development.
I think it's that property, correct?
Yes, so off to the right where the red line is, that is through Max property. But the vertical that goes up from the lake to Lexington, that is that development. So from there, it could work into the loop, the airport loop, and then connect over to Firefly.
Good.
So with it being
Matt,
in the Greenway network plan.
I see you talking.
Oh. Who's talking?
Oh, I'm sorry. There's also a sewer line running through there, and so there's an opportunity to piggyback on that as well. But
And something that was brought up by, I believe it was Commissioner Link during that presentation, she was wanting to know something similar to what was said just a little bit ago about requiring construction. So currently we can't require construction of any greenways. That being said, there are ordinances where when you're building a new development, you have to build sidewalk in front if it's along an area that has a future sidewalk. So that's something that she was wanting to speak to really get that into the plan. And I think something important, if it does come up, is that that's not necessarily a part of this particular update. And really that would be something that you guys would coordinate through planning. What it requires, though, is it requires our Greenway Network Plan to no longer be a flexible conceptual document. It would then need to be essentially a planned set of construction documents. And so that's where we can't require that construction as long as we're just saying this is conceptual. Now, what we can do, though, is our funded projects are hopefully going to be going through planning and into the transportation corridor map. And by doing that, that is kind of the first step to having them at least set that area apart to say, yes, there will be Greenway here, and we're not going to build a big building to block off access. I think besides that, go ahead.
Well, and even if you rewatch, if any of you guys want to rewatch that, again, it was like 10 o'clock at night, but even outside of that ordinance change that Commissioner Link mentioned, there may be a process change to where when you bring something to the planning department, it could be, yes, I looked at the Greenway Network Plan, or there was also conversation about that as well as the ordinance change too. So two separate things, but the ordinance thing is a bigger deal because that takes a lot more.
Yeah. And in regards to the process change, they do have like an open invite to park planning for us to participate in all of the plans reviews, but there's so much plans review that we would really need a dedicated staff person. I did that for about I think 4 or 5 months where I was just going through, and it took up so much time that I got behind on other projects. So while there's not really more of a process change that they could do other than making it easier for us to, where they actually review the Greenway Network Plan and then reach out and say, hey, by the way, here are the projects pertaining to leisure services. But we've talked to them and they don't really have that capability either. So they basically said, you either come to you come to every single one and review, or you don't come to, you don't come to them. So, it's a staffing issue.
Needs to stay on our radar to a certain degree. As possibilities.
Yeah, and it could be something where I wonder if the planning committee would like to also be reviewing those emails, and you guys could be pitching in a little bit versus park planning having to take on so much of that. But that's just a thought. I will say that
I wonder if the planning commission.
Yeah. I do have to make sure we cut this thing off at 5:30 because I've got to attend the meeting tonight.
Okay.
But I also today got I got it yesterday. So we have a new appointee from the planning department. So she was not able to attend the meeting tonight, but we do have a new name since Mark left, of somebody who will be coming and representing the planning department. And I was trying to find the name. Robin Schultz is our new appointee from that department.
And he's one of the park planners. Yeah. Not park planners, but yeah. Just wanted to say he's a he.
Okay.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It's 5:26. If we have to stop at 5:30, we got, let's see, Bruno's already spoken to that. Diane, did you have anything you need to say?
Oh, I just wanted to, I know that Alex stole my thunder, but that water conservation grant we received to establish and it'll actually be what we call an egress at Princeton Mill. It's our complement, Ben Burton. It'll allow us to be a Georgia water trail. So that's
Okay.
very exciting news. So
Yeah, it
it's
is.
gonna, construction's a long way down the road. There's still a lot of work to be done on the grant before we start construction.
Okay, great. Thank you. Firefly Trail, I don't see anyone on for that. Okay, new business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anybody from Firefly.
Yeah.
It's Alex. But I will say Firefly 2 is clicking right along. That gets us to Hancock Road. And Firefly 3 is still being discussed by the mayor and commission, that final alignment out there. So that's your Firefly.
Okay.
In regards to that, have you guys put together a statement about your preference on alternative A, B, or C?
No.
I don't believe this group's been asked to do that.
No, I haven't received anything asking.
I know Athens in Motion was putting together a statement. They weren't asked either, but they just had a preference that they wanted to state in terms of safety. So.
Okay. Next meeting is March 16th, 2021. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second? Do I hear a second? Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
The meeting. Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.